All right, what's good, everybody? This is going to be our last lesson in chapter two. Last lesson in chapter two is going to be on composite transformations. Technically, nothing new in this lesson, just combining all three of the different types of transformations that we've learned already and putting them together. Okay, for a quick warm up, perform the following rotation. Rotate 270 degrees. Okay, I don't expect you to have it memorized to know what 270 degrees is. I apologize. My face is probably over this example. All right, so you can still do it on your own. Okay, rotate 270 degrees. If you look in your notes, you see that the rule is XY changes to Y negative X, right? So you're going to switch the numbers and you're also going to change the original X sign, right? So your Y numbers are going first. Nothing changes. You keep them the same. So 3 stays 3, -2 stays -2, 1 stays 1. Negative X, right? Our X numbers are going to change sign. So -1 becomes +1, +6 becomes -6, +5 becomes -5. And again, I apologize if my face is covering this. I forgot to change it. Okay, but that's just a quick warm up, review from rotations in your last lesson. Okay, our objective is to perform composite transformations on a given figure. Right? Composite transformations are when we perform more than one transformation to a pre-image, right? It may seem self-explanatory, but we must perform the first transformation first, and then we must perform the second transformation to the first transformation, right? So I always use the example of building a Lego set, right? When you're building a Lego set, you do step one, you put some pieces together. Then when you do step two, you put the new pieces on what you already put together in step one. It doesn't make any sense to complete step one, take it apart, and then complete step two. Okay. Please remember that you're building on each transformation by transformation. Okay. So what that means, right? If we have our pre-image triangle ABC, right? This is a translation that goes to triangle A prime, B prime, C prime, right? It's a translation. It moved to the left and it moved down. Okay. Now the third transformation is a reflection. Notice the triangle A double prime, B double prime, C double prime is a reflection to A prime, B prime, C prime. It is not a reflection from our original pre-image triangle ABC. You have to go to step one, from step one to step two, and from this purple triangle, that is where you get your reflection to go on to step three. And like I just said, every time you do a new transformation, you have to add a new prime symbol, right? So A changes to A prime, and then when you do a transformation of that, it turns to A double prime. We still use the same rules of translations, rotations, and reflections. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. Please, I hope you are going into Canvas and clicking and downloading the notes here for 2.4 composite transformations. Here are also the slides, the PowerPoint slides that you can go along with. Like, for example, during that do now, my face was probably covering up the example, but if you download and click here on the PowerPoint, you can see and use those slides without my face covering it. Okay, so if you were to go back in and use your notes, this is a perfect place because you are writing all of the rules for our three different transformations, and now it's going to be in one central place, right? You don't have to look for your translation notes. You don't have to look for your rotation notes and your reflection notes, right? Those three sets of notes that you need to look for. Now everything is just written on one piece of paper. You can just grab one piece of paper and find all of the rules for all of the transformations here. Okay, so again, translation, it's always XY changes to X plus or minus some number, Y plus or minus some number. Remember, if it's X positive, we're going to the right. If it's X negative, we're going to the left. If it's Y positive, we're going up. If it's Y negative, we're going down. Okay, here are the rules for reflections. Okay, you can write those down in your notes. We technically already learned these, right? So it's always good to just rewrite. That'll help reinforce them. Okay, and the rules for rotations. Okay, 3 rules for rotations. Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, I don't expect you to have all of these rules memorized. That's why I would like you to take those notes and put them there so you have it all in one place. I don't even have them memorized. That's why I wrote myself a little cheat sheet. I have all my rules for reflections. I have all my rules for rotations. And I know that there is no one specific rule for translation, so I'm just going to take that rule as it comes, right? But please write all of these rules down, have a cheat sheet ready to go, so that way you have all of the rules just in one place. Okay, so fill in the blanks for these types of transformations. Okay, we have xy changing to x minus 3, y plus 5. First, what type of transformation is that? Well, if you look at the rules that we just went over, we see that we're subtracting from x and we're adding to y. The only rule that adds or subtracts is a translation. So this rule is a translation. Okay, and now we're taking all of our x values and subtracting 3. We're taking all of our y values and adding 5. So a to a prime, if we subtract 3 from -1 minus 3 gives us -4. And our y number, we add 5. So 3 plus 5 gives us a prime of 3 plus 5 is 8. Sorry about that. Okay, b. X value b, 6 minus 3, b prime is 3. -2, y number plus 5 is +3, so b prime is 3. All right, c prime, the x number minus 3, 5 minus 3 gives us 2. And the y number plus 5 gives us 6, right? So these are the coordinates now of a prime, b prime, c prime. If I had a graph, I would plot these, right? Now, for our next transformation, notice we are coming from here to here, right? These rules we have to apply to these numbers now. So our rule is x minus y. Let's first think, well, what are those rules? You can refer back, flip through, find out where do we see x minus y. I have my cheat sheet here, so I'm going to look. I see that x minus y, negative y is a reflection over the x-axis. Okay, now we're taking these x values and they happen to be the same. So we just rewrite them. -4 stays -4, 3 stays 3, 2 stays 2. But our y values, we're changing the sign now. We are changing the sign to our y values. So +8 becomes -8, 3 becomes -3, and 6 becomes -6. And again, if I had a graph, I could plot these points, and that would be triangle A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. Okay, so that's one example. A next example, this time they tell us what transformations to do, but we have to write in the rules. So rotate 90 degrees. You can flip back through, rotate 90 degrees. XY changes to -YX. So we write that in. XY changes to -YX. So all we're going to do is flip the numbers, and we're going to change the sign of our Y numbers. So now the Y numbers come first, but we're changing the sign, right? So our Y numbers are coming first, and we're changing the sign. So +3 becomes -3, -2 becomes +2, +1 becomes -1. X numbers, they stay the same, but they're just coming second now. So -1 stays -1, 6 stays 6, 5 stays 5. Okay, now we're reflecting across the x-axis, right? We're reflecting across the x-axis. So look in your rules, reflect across the x-axis. Across the x-axis, xy changes to x -y. Sorry about that, right? Our rule here is, if we write in a different color, xy reflects x-axis, x changes to x -y. Now, one thing that's really tricky. Over here, we have -y and x, okay? Remember, these are just the rules of rotating 90 degrees. But if we were to legitimately plot these on a graph, the first number is still always your x numbers, and the second numbers are always your y numbers. These are just the rules to help you get your numbers straight. So now that we are now doing a second transformation, we're going to ignore these, and this is going back to our normal XYT chart. Okay, so our X numbers stay the same. Our X numbers stay the same. So -3 stays -3. +2 stays +2. -1 stays -1. Our Y values change sign. -1 becomes +1. +6 becomes -6. +5 becomes -5. Okay, and that would be triangle A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. Good. One more, another example. Okay, again, they have the rules given to us, and we just need to write in the rules and create the new coordinates. Right here, again, translations, super easy. I'm not going to rewrite those rules because they're given to us right there. We add 3 to our X numbers, we subtract 3 from our Y numbers. So let's add the 3 to our X numbers. -1 plus 3 gives us +2. 6 plus 3 gives us 9. 5 plus 3 gives us 8, right? These are our new X numbers. These are our new Y numbers. Our rule says that we subtract 3 from our Y numbers. So 3 minus 3 gives us 0. -2 minus 3 gives us -5. And 1 minus 3 gives us -2. Now it says to rotate -90 degrees. So again, if you don't know, I would just scroll back to rotation. -90 is XY changes to Y -X. So we write that in a new color. It changes to Y -X for -90. Okay, so we're going to switch those numbers, and then our X numbers change sign. So we just rewrite our Y numbers here. 0 stays 0, -5 stays -5, -2 stays -2. And now we're changing the sign of our X numbers. +2 becomes -2, +9 becomes -9, and +8 becomes -8. Okay, that is how we would do it, and that is creates triangle A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. Okay, more examples. Now you have pictures, right? And you have to tell what kinds of transformations and describe what are those rules, right? So first, you always need to find which one is your actual pre-image. We take a look. Notice, remember, pre-image always just ABC. So we see this is number 1, triangle ABC. We come over this way to triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. So that's triangle number 2. And then we go over here to triangle number 3. Okay, so let's think. How do we get from triangle 1 to triangle 2? Okay, it hasn't turned, it hasn't flipped. Okay, this is going to be a translation. So rule number 1 is going to be translation, but remember, we have to write a specific rule. So it's XY changes to, and we have to think, are we going left or right? Are we going up or down? Always count from the same coordinates, from C to C prime. We're going to go left. So we know it's going to be X minus because it's left. And then let's just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So X minus 6. And then Y, notice we are going down in the Y direction. So it's going to be minus again, but we got to count. We got to figure out how much. Y minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Y minus 5. That is the first rule, right? That's first transformation. Now we need to think, how are we getting from triangle 2 to triangle 3? Once again, we're not spinning, we're not flipping. It's another translation. So translation on translation. We need to write the rule though. XY is going to change to X. Let's figure it out. Now let's go from B prime to B double prime. Remember, you need to use the same letter. We're for sure going to the right, so it's going to be plus. Let's find out how much. Plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. X plus 14. That was a big translation. And now we have Y. Notice we're going up, so that's also going to be plus. Let's find out how much. Plus 1, 2, 3. Y plus 3. Okay, so 2 translations done in this. These are our 2 very specific rules of our 2 translations. Okay, same thing. Describe the 2 types of transformations done to get from triangle ABC to A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. So again, figure out which one is your first. We see that this is number 1. A prime, B prime, C prime is number 2. And A double prime, B double prime, C double prime is number 3. So rule number 1, how do we get from 1 to 2? Okay, this is very clearly a flip. It is a reflection. So we are going to say that it is a reflection. Again, I apologize for the poor writing. But reflect across what? What line are we reflecting? We see that it is a reflection right here across the x-axis. And if we think rule number 2, how do we get from 2 to 3? Did we spin? Nope. Did we flip? Nope. It is, again, a translation. So we need to write our translation rule. XY changes to, how did we change in X? Did we go right or left? We went right. So that means it's going to be X plus. Again, use the same coordinates. Let's go from A prime to A double prime. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So X plus 6. We're going up in the Y direction. So it's Y plus 1, 2. Y plus 2. Those are our 2 rules. We reflected across the x-axis, and then we translated x plus 6, y plus 2. Once again, describe the 2 transformations done to get from ABC to A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. This is triangle 1. This is triangle 2. This is triangle 3 because we see ABC, A prime, B prime, C prime, A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. Okay, so how do we get from here to here? This is very clearly, it's spinning, it's rotating. This is a rotation. So rotation. How many degrees? Is it positive? Is it negative? Well, we are going counterclockwise. So first you need to think, okay, is counterclockwise positive or negative? Counterclockwise is a positive rotation. And how far did we go? Okay, this is just moving from coordinate 1 to coordinate 2. So that is just a positive 90-degree rotation. And then if we use a different color, transformation number 2, how do we get from 2 to 3? Okay, notice you may think like, oh, this is just a translation. It just slid down. But notice A prime is here, A double prime is here. If it was a translation, A double prime would be right here. Okay, so this is actually a reflection. How do we reflect? We are reflecting across the x-axis here. Okay, those are the 2 rules. The first rule, we rotated a positive 90 degrees, and then we flipped and reflected across the x-axis. Okay, that's all I have. I tried to keep it as short. It's just, again, this was technically no new material. It's just combining all things that we have already learned. I hope you have a great day. Go Mustangs!